Hey everybody, call me Felix, and last time on our Pagudpud road trip, we settled in our resort by the northern tip of Saud Beach, the Via Andrea Resort, which features most of the creature comforts and amenities one can expect from a destination beach resort. Beach access, big swimming pool, equipment for snorkeling, kayaking, and other water activities, full-service restaurant, and even a video game machine. Although I found the accommodation on the basic side, it's a great place to host big groups and families. If you want to check out my Via Andrea Resort review video and more of our Pagudpud road trip adventures thus far, feel free to click away on the Pagudpud Road Trip 2021 playlist on the far right hand corner. We stayed at Via Andrea for 4 days and 3 nights, and my review of the resort was condensed to just that one video, but we still had our fair share of outings while there. Starting with this side trip to the Blue Lagoon to enjoy a Boodle Fight fit for a small army by a quaint Ilocano themed resort right across from the Dos Hermanos Islands, the Casa Consuelo Resort and Restaurant. And just like the day before at Rosario's, we had to have another big seafood spread with grilled blue marlin steak, whole prawns, crab, fried calamari, grilled squid, and what's this? Big spiny lobster? Why yes, of course. And on looks alone, it appeared that I would enjoy this spiny lobster a great deal more. Keep on watching to find out my reaction. But we also had plenty of meat dishes, including the house specialty Ilocano longanisa, pork liempo, pork belly adobo with potatoes, lumpiang Shanghai, and pancit bihon. Plenty to sink our teeth into, even though I only had eyes for the spiny lobster, as always. Getting to Casa Consuelo was a delight on its own, as instead of taking the main highway, we took the winding back roads through some lush verdant hills and rice paddies, as well as the breathtaking sea vistas at points. We passed by a hidden gem of an attraction along these back roads that was easy to miss, a hill simply known as Little Batanes, because of the landscape and vista's resemblance to the rolling hills and rocky seashore of Batanes, that far north island destination many a Filipino dreams of going to, including yours truly. We were supposed to stop by Little Batanes on our way, but it was getting late for our Boodle Fight lunch, and we had to climb it during a sultry, muggy afternoon. Stay tuned for that video on the way back at Little Batanes. From there, we link up with the main highway from Barangay Kawayan, heading eastward for the Blue Lagoon in Barangay Balawi. There's only one point into the Blue Lagoon that requires a small entrance fee, and it's something to keep in mind when you make multiple trips there. My rule of thumb is, if you're going to hover around longer around the Blue Lagoon, it's best to find a resort there, and likewise the same advice goes for frequenting Saud Beach. The fees aren't a big deal, it's more of a little inconvenience. Once you pay your entry fees, you'll be passing by a few landmarks on some even terrain, including the Bantayabut Cave and Rosario's restaurant where the new Instagram marvel, the Bridge of Wonder, is situated. Once past Rosario's, the road slopes upward, reaching its apex right about where Hannah's Resort zipline is, which is reported to be the longest zipline over water in the Philippines, but unfortunately for us, the zipline was closed. The road from there descends with some clear views of the Blue Lagoon to the right side, and although some get it twisted with the name that was derived from the Brooke Shields film of the same name, the film was not shot on location here. The Blue Lagoon is called such simply due to the many shades of blue in the cove, and it is also known by locals as Maira Cove. The grand stretch of swimmable beach is public and is fronted by homestays and resorts, but once you get past that point, you'll see locals' residences, and at the very end of the Blue Lagoon is the Casa Consuelo Resort and Restaurant. Upon arrival, Casa Consuelo makes quite the impression as a quaint resort with warm, comforty tones and traditional Filipino design elements, such as the nipa thatched roofing and modified Capiz windows used in clever and chic ways. Cousin JP, who is a Filipino antique collector and enthusiast, really enjoyed the ambiance of the resort and restaurant, and was fully engaged talking to the Tamayo family, the owners of Casa Consuelo, about all the modified pieces of Filipino heritage artifacts that are present throughout the resort. The Tamayos, like JP, are obviously collectors of such heritage pieces, and yet the design of the resort feels modern and streamlined throughout, with pleasing geometric forms and dark pastel colors complementing the traditional Ilocano feel of the place. The lounge area opening out to the pool area is a fine example of this fusion of styles.
Close
From there, you can walk down to the resort's private strip of beach, where sea activities abound. According to the Tamayos, the reefs between their beachside and the Dos Hermanos Islands are ideal for snorkeling, and the claim is it's the best side for seeing corals and lively sea life on this side of Pagudpud. I've also heard that at low tide, you can traverse to the Dos Hermanos Islands as well, with the moniker derived from a local folktale about two brothers that never wanted to be separated, and as such, wound up taking the form of two neighboring slopes. The sand here on this side of Blue Lagoon feels soft in parts and coarse in others, with rocks and pieces of driftwood here and there. I found some big chunks of driftwood there to be beautiful, yet eerie and somewhat terrifying. It brought back to mind what the poet Rainer Maria Rilke tried to convey in his Duino elegies. Quote, "For beauty is nothing but the beginning of terror, which we are barely able to endure, and it mazes us so, because it severely disdains us to destroy us. Every angel is terrible." End quote. Unfortunately, that's the zeitgeist of what I felt walking alone on this side of the beach while filming this part, and remembering it kind of feels emotionally painful, still for reasons you might find hard to fathom and believe. And on that note, let's just take in the sights for a bit before going back to see the cozy and spacious rooms at Casa Consuelo. Let's take a look at the premium rooms at Casa Consuelo, of which I'm sure will delight the most discerning traveler. As is the motif at the resort of using Ilocano design cues from the nipa thatch roofing, Ilocano woven fabrics, mahogany wood applications, and the modified Capiz windows and spots, the rooms are appointed with homey vintage Ilocano touches as well as modern creature comforts. Let's start with the loft, which can accommodate 5 persons and typically goes for 6,000 to 7,000 pesos a night, depending on seasonality, and is the resort's most expensive offering. There we visit the family room, which also accommodates 5 persons, in roughly the same price range as the loft. Here the vintage Ilocano design motif is in full display and feels warm and homey with the colorful windows and Capiz framed cabinets of some nice touches. And now the moment you've clicked for, the Boodle Fight. But first, let's see how the Casa Consuelo staff put this small army feast together. Ooh, this one looks good.
I know.
That is your lobster. Don't let nobody touch it.
Yeah. That's why it's on this end for a reason.
Huwag natin gayahin ng mga baboy yan na magkakawan ng ano. Kung naubos na dyan, puto na.
They wouldn't call it a boodle fight anymore.
Yeah.
It's called the pigsty fight.
Yeah, pig, you know. When he share his penis, you go to the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so instead of a boodle fight, it's a pigsty fight. That's the
Just stay there so that I can taste it.
that's the WWE match they never tell you
I can
about.
stay anywhere.
Ito kaya sir,
The bigger
kalat na rin. We'll just
Okay.
divide it. This is grilled blue marlin.
Grilled blue marlin.
blue marlin,
Ooh.
yes. Fresh po ito.
Blow Marlin, oh blow Marlin.
That doesn't sound like an Ilocano song, Dad.
Kalat nila lang yung ano nila sa usawan. Gusto raw nila ng may chili.
Baka tayo ito eh.
No, this is for Warren. Then this is for JP.
This is my name on it. Baka tayo ito.
Warren, this is your birth week celebration. This boodle fight. But I have bad news for you because it's not your birthday and this entire thing is mine. Yes. So this is a boodle fight, but I'm not a boodle fight person in general. You know. But so what interests me most is lobster.
Me too, I love lobster.
Okay, so I can feel this is lumpy. Okay. Feeling a little bit coarse. So apparently there's some sauce on the side. It's not garlic butter. It's like, I don't know what it is. Kind of looks kind of like Is it really? It kind of looks like liver sauce. I don't know if it's because they don't get this type of lobster in Ilocos. Let's compare this to Rosario's, for example. This is way bigger lobster. Way bigger lobster. Now I got bad news for you. This is a teensy bit dry. Oh no. I've definitely had lobster of this size in Manila or the Dampa, and it's more plump and like crazy plump and firm. This is firm but slightly dry. Not as bad as Rosario's yesterday. Okay. But the roe looks really good here. So you know what? I'm just gonna grab some like this. Can I grab some from like this here?
I wonder how many lobsters that is. That would have been.
I have no idea. There we go. But the roe is good. I mean, I feel it's a bit fluffy too. Fluffy, a little bit creamy too. Adds a little more savory component. A savory, sweet component, in fact. Not off-putting at all. I guess this sauce is like a very mild tamarind heavy sauce. Okay, some from the carcass here. With some, tamale. Let's try that. Yeah, it's as if it's like salted egg lobster. I know. Naturally salted egg lobster. So you know what? There are things to nitpick about this one still. But you know what? I feel that, of course, because it's more substantial. You have more lobster. And you have really nice roe here that you can kind of just pick and, you know, add some creaminess, add some more savoriness, add a little more sweetness too. And of course, Warren, you know, as an assistant, part of his job is also to de-shell shrimp and lobster. Yeah, he poked himself while I mentioned it. So I forget the prices of everything, especially with the seafood platter and such, but I think the lobster, well, 1,500 for this big monster? Yeah. That's not that bad. I mean, it's a little dry, but I mean, you know what? I mean, I've had lobster that's bigger than this and plumper than this, and you paid 5,000 for it. So you know what? This is a pretty good bargain. Even, you know, despite a little dry, it's okay. You can make it for it. There's a little good, there's a row of lobster over there. Yeah, look at Warren spoon all that good stuff out. There's more creaminess that I like. That's here. Creaminess, yes. And then there's like a little thing of like this natural salted egg thing from the tamale as well. So I feel this is an improvement. And good at any local, so you can find lobster. That's pretty dang good. What's up? Like, you have to go to Zambales for lobster. Or you gotta go to Palawan for lobster. Or you gotta go to Cebu for lobster. Yeah, in locals, she's got some decent ones. How about that? So here's the interesting thing about this Boodle Fight. I told you, all this other stuff looks interesting, but not super interesting as lobster. So it's like going to senior prom, and then you're dead set on that one debutante of the bulb. That's it. Out of like the 100, that's it. I don't know about analogies, but there you go. It's like a mellow, like tamarind sort of sauce, but not sour, not sweet, just kind of there. It's a saucy component, I guess you can call it. Personally, for me, I'm a traditionalist. I would like some garlic butter. Because it enhances the salted egg flavor. Enough lobster, huh? Alright. I think the pancit bihon's pretty decent too. Look at the fatty piece of pork that you get here. Okay. And now, we're on for this longanisa. Ooh, fatty pork. Gosh, it's piping hot too. It's so piping hot I don't want to touch it right now. But I'm going to put it on this side to remind me that it's mine. Okay. What's this? Tuna steak. Now, I'm not excited about something that's called tuna steak. But I feel this is juicy and plump. Might be good. This piece of fish is really flaky. Look how flaky and how it's...
For the love of God. Char. You like the tail?
Well, look how flaky that tuna steak is. Well, that is a huge surprise. Yeah, I know. And you didn't put any calamansi in there yet. And I love the texture. It's plump and it's soft. So, you know, this is actually the more surprising thing of the things I've tried. That pancit bihon too is pretty good. It has some nice fatty pieces of pork. That's also good. Oh yeah, the grilled squid. Grilled squid. Or the grilled stuffed squid. Ooh la la. Warren, this was Warren trying to do this by himself. Let's see how the pros do it. It's hard to fight with one hand. Wait for me, oh, wait for me. Hey, Hall & Oates, here you go. Hall & Oates will do all the singing and all the tearing of the squid. I smelled my finger just now. And it smells like a lot of onions and squid and the grill. That's some tender squid. Tender squid and tomatoes, an onion. Yeah, this is the way Warren's grilled squid stuffed squid had turned out, right? Well, not quite. His was a little tougher, but it's simpler tasting, but it's so tender. It's really just tomatoes and onions, and grilled nicely, so nicely. There's not really much of a char on there, but because I like the tenderness so much of that squid, it is really good. I took a little piece of that longanisa. Longanisa really has a nice crust too. I've got it to bite into the rest of that sausage though. And so while I'm snacking on lobster, Warren's gonna do the honors for the crab for me. Where's the crab? It's right here. Jeez, if it had been a snake, it would have freaking bit at you and freaking killed you like 10 seconds ago. If it was a black mamba, it would have gotten you already. And so Warren had basically disintegrated that crab into nothing more than baby food for me. So, out of shells and out of stuff, that's a crab. That was a crab. That crab is also firm, but it's firm but soft. So I mean, it's nice crab. Kind of breaks apart like that, kind of on your fingers, like that. There's some chili vinegar for our lobster. Oh yeah. Ooh yes, and it livens up. It's actually robust chili vinegar too, so I'm gonna put that on my lobster, I think. Alright. Now I have to try longanisa now that it has cooled down. Yay. It's good. Got the ideal lard content in there. There's one thing I don't like is a dry longanisa. And of course it's savory because there's no sweet stuff there. And it's got that crust. And then plenty of that garlic and black pepper and vinegar flavor. Okay. I got so much here left. Oh. I've not tried the liempo. Do it with that spicy vinegar. Because I mean that lifts up everything, doesn't it? There we go. I feel that the sauce should use more sauce though. But the grilling is about on point, and then as well as the texture of that fat and the meat. Well, look at the wind. I've been sweating up a storm. So, but thankfully the breeze has finally come in, as it's been a terribly balmy day. Okay. More lobster with roe. Yeah, we're better now. And look at the view. I mean, it gotten a lot more beautiful since like a couple of people stood up and showed me the view. Boom. Alright, most people have surrendered and not fighting anymore on the Boodle Fight. So, I am going to cheat by using a spoon. Okay, it's only fair. And if people quit and do a Boodle Fight, they wave the white flag too early, you can use any utensils you like. Oi. Don't you hide away from me. Don't you hide away, bro. Okay. Well, I'll be back for you later. Okay, so my part of the Boodle Fight is on because I finished my lobster. And I finished that tuna, which was actually pretty good. And there's some shrimp left over. There's that crab left over. I'm not a fan of crab in general. That squid is really good, though. Party squid. I kind of feel like my appetite's not quite there for some reason or other. So I'm just content with just finishing 2 lobsters. Yeah. Small victories. Okay. That's all I have as far as the Boodle Fight's concerned. And I'm just enjoying the breeze because I've been sweating like a dog all flippin' afternoon here. Okay. That's a wrap on the Boodle Fight. Alright, that about wraps it up from our Boodle Fight lunch at Casa Consuelo. That was delicious all around. Despite my slight disappointment of feasting on slightly dry lobster that didn't quite match my lofty expectation from past experiences, I found the lobster at Casa Consuelo still quite enjoyable with its substantial meat and satisfying portion of tamale and roe. The dishes that impressed me most were the blue marlin steak, I'd mistaken for tuna steak as it was flaky, tender, and juicy, as well as the Ilocano style longanisa that featured the best elements an Ilocano longanisa should. A great fat to meat ratio, garlicky peppery taste profile, and that signature crust and caramelized vinegary twang that comes out when well fried. All in all, a satisfying Boodle Fight and one of the better meals we had in Pagudpud. Next time on the show, we're rolling the Blue Lagoon drive clips backwards because we're going up the hill backwards. It'll be alright. Ooh. Back to whence we came to find this little batanes we sought on the way to Casa Consuelo and climb it in the afternoon. You won't want to miss that video if you're fantasizing a trip to Batanes soon, as we find a slice of the Batanes rolling hills here in a little visited section of Pagudpud. And so with that said, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, as that helps a lot, and better yet, please subscribe for more of our food and travel adventures to come. Until then, keep cool but care, and remember, the empire never ended.